All right, everybody. So our draft has wrapped up. The NFLduToilet Fantasy Football League is back at you. We're going to give you a full recap, a breakdown of everything that happened during the draft, and kind of go down what each team is compromised of. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Now we're going to start with our power rankings to go from 12 to 1 as we count these up. So let's go ahead and see who comes in at number 12 after the draft. So first up, of course, we've got Tony with Sunshine State Sinners. Now, unfortunately for Tony, he lost the draft lottery, so he had to go at the 12 spot. Now, he's got Aaron Jones right off the bat, which was great. Devontae Adams, I think that was a good one, too, for the 12 and 13 pick. Of course, he got a long time before he gets to pick again. He's got Javonte Williams, which could kick off at the running back, and Deebo Samuel. So his first four looking really, really solid. Where my personal opinion, where I think Tony kind of went off the rails, is Trevor Lawrence with his first quarterback. I know quarterbacks are starting to be taken, but I mean, this guy has no leadership abilities. He never had it in college at Clemson. You never heard about how his leadership was the reason they were winning championships. It just wasn't the case. So that obviously has not translated to the NFL. I can't see that stepping up any point this year. But of course, Darren Waller coming back at the tight end spot, arguably maybe the number 2 tight end in the league, at least number 3. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, great pick if this guy can live up to any of the hype at all. Adam Thielen, always solid. Baker Mayfield looking to revive his career. Ramondre Stevenson in the 10th round, which I think is probably the steal of the draft for Tony. A lot of people in New England think he could take over as number 1. I really do think he has a lot of upside, and I look for Ramondre to take a big step forward and take hold of that backfield there. Michael Carter from the Jets. Valdez-Scantling moving from Green Bay to Kansas City. Going with Patrick Mahomes, not a lot to throw to there outside of Kelsey, so we'll see if that's a good steal there for Tony. Tampa Bay may have been a little bit early going with the defense in the 13th round. Gets up Wan'Dale Robinson, Hunter Henry, and Tyrion Davis-Price. Now, you can look at Tony's projected lineup. Of course, going there with the solid 4 that I said to start, the quarterbacks are kind of what's glaring. And, we'll just see what plays out for Tony. Of course, his Yahoo draft grade is a C-. Now, the projections and the power rankings, this is all straight from Fantasy Pros. Projected record coming in at 7-7. Power rankings, 12th of 12, like we said, in this championship odds going in at 7%. Now, you're going to see a very normal trend here with Fantasy Pros. Basically, everyone is 8-6 or 7-7, it seems, and someone dropping down to 4-12. We'll get to that in a little bit. Moving on to the number 11 spot. This is where I think, we had someone, Hunter gets a lot of shit. He was in the league. Some shit happened, so he left. He's back now, and he had a great start to the draft. Justin Herbert following to him. Of course, his Yahoo draft grade coming in at a D+, and we'll see kind of where he fell apart there. His projected record still at 7. Championship odds 7%, and he is that 11 spot. Now, Justin Herbert, a lot projected that he would go 3rd. It didn't happen. 2nd or 3rd, of course, he fell Hunter right into Hunter's lap. He comes back solid with Joe Mixon, gets CeeDee Lamb, and I think Mike Williams before Keenan Allen. That could be a little bit tricky there. Of course, still at this point, Hunter doesn't have a second quarterback yet. He goes with Etienne, which I understand. That's his name. Gabriel Davis, Chris Godwin, that could be a good steal. Darnell Mooney, Justin Fields got to have somebody to throw the ball to. Elijah Moore and Kenny Pickett. Now, getting Kenny Pickett, I think, is where it gets a little bit tricky for Hunter. He could take over as Pittsburgh's number 1. There's so much hype with Pickett being there, being from Pitt, going into his hometown team. We're going to have to see how that plays out, and that could, if he projects or starts killing it on the field as fantasy number-wise, that's going to be a great steal there for Hunter. Brian Robertson Jr., Johan Dotson, Jacoby Brissett. Of course, he's basically playing most of the fantasy season. With our fantasy playoffs being week 15, you're only going to see Deshaun Watson for a couple of weeks, so I think Brissett's a good take there. Cleveland's not a horrible offense. We'll see what they do. Robert Tonyan, Green Bay, and Alec Pierce. Now, we can take a little bit of his projected lineup. Like I said, not a lot of fear when it comes to playing him right off the bat, unless these guys start producing. It's going to be interesting to see where Godwin comes into play. I know he doesn't have him in his lineup right now. He's got Mike Williams there and CeeDee Lamb. Lamb's obviously going to be solid. Herbert's going to carry his team like no other. But I think if Godwin comes back and Pickett picks up where they're hoping that he will. He's doing pretty good in preseason. I think that could be a solid team for Hunter as the season goes on, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, coming in at the number 10 spot, what an absolute just train wreck of a draft that Paul had. So a lot of the guys that went up to Mohegan Sun, they meant to draft in a Topgolf, but they left Topgolf early. They decided to go get dinner, a nice dinner. They decided to do a lot of drinking. And by a lot of drinking, I mean a lot of drinking. Paul, being in his first draft, let someone like Damian and Chris really take advantage of him. Of course, he's a grown-ass man. He can take responsibility for himself, and this is what he did. Gets Justin Jefferson and Travis Kelce with a 1-2. A.J. Brown looking really good. A.J. Dillon. And then, it starts to fall off the rails here. You'll see DJ Moore, Eli Mitchell, Damian Harris, David Montgomery, Miles Sanders, Buffalo defense in the 10th round. He doesn't even have a quarterback yet, and he's taking Buffalo's defense in the 10th round. Deshaun Watson, the only thing, he got Deshaun Watson. Maybe he can get some massages or something, because that's all Watson's going to be giving him. He's got Hines, James Robinson, Drew Lock. That's his first possible starting quarterback, is Drew Lock. Raheem Mostert and Jimmy G, which, barring an injury, maybe something happens in Jimmy G. Of course, draft grade of a D, projected record of 4-10, coming in 10th of 12th. And it's funny, it's the only one that's like this. Less than 1%, according to Fantasy Pros, as far as his championship odds. His projected lineup is, you can just see it for yourself. It's absolute shit show. I don't even know how to project this for you guys. So he's going to obviously have a lot of stuff, and there are some trades in the works. A trade did happen, and we'll get to that in a later video. So his team doesn't necessarily look like this, but coming out of draft night, this is where he stood. Now, moving right along, going into the 9th spot is none other than Jay Noller with How I Met Your Mother. Yahoo draft grade of B-, projected record of good, again, right there with everybody else, 7-7. Championships odds, though, do dip to 5%. You would have thought Jay, having all this coaching experience, may have been a little bit later, especially later in the draft. The early draft is usually pretty easy, kind of taking best available. Now, Jay did surprise a lot of people. Patrick Mahomes falling all the way to the 8th spot. He was able to pick him up. Joe Burrow coming back the other way, stealing him from your Bengals fan right here. I was going to go Joe Burrow in the 2nd round. Kind of shocked Jay did that. James Conner coming in with the 32nd pick in the 3rd round, which is a pretty good steal. I think he could finally take off as he gets settled in that offense. Of course, they're looking to take care of Murray there. We'll see what happens. Tyreek Hill moving to Miami. A lot of praise from Tyreek with Tua. Keeps talking about how he's possibly better than Patrick Mahomes. We all know that's bullshit, but that's Tyreek saying the right thing, so we'll see if he gets the ball a lot. Michael Thomas. This was interesting. Michael Thomas looking to come back after sitting out a year. We'll have to see if he picks up where he left off. Of course, no Drew Brees, throwing to him Jameis Winston. Now, with Winston being on my team, I hope Thomas racks up a lot of points unless I play Jay. Dallas Goedert with his tight end. Isaiah Spiller could be a good steal there. Hunter Renfrow. Carson Wentz getting his 3rd quarterback. Jay, during the draft, made fun of a lot of people sticking with just 2 quarterbacks, and some veteran players in the league only going with 2 quarterbacks, where they know that can find them trouble a little bit later in the season. Tyler Lockett would normally be a pretty good steal, except no one knows who's throwing the ball to him, and the people that are throwing the ball to him probably can't throw as far as he can run. So we'll have to see what happens there. But Jay, being a big Seahawks fan, that was probably hard to pass up. Christian Watson with Green Bay. Again, Aaron Rodgers got to have somebody to throw the ball to, so we'll see what happens. Dawson Knox, a good backup tight end. David Bell. Dallas defense, again, I still think maybe defense shouldn't be taken before the 15th round, but Jay going in there, he is a defensive coach, so he's thinking defensive-minded. Wanted to get somebody solid there. J.D. McKissick, and then, of course, Russell Gage to round out his draft. Now, his lineup with Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow at the 2 quarterback spots, that is really going to be tough to beat. Normally, you would see Tyreek Hill there in the first wide receiver spot, and you would be nervous, right? Because he's got Patrick Mahomes throwing to him, but he has Tua throwing it to him, and we're just going to have to wait to see that. Michael Thomas, I think those projections are low if he can get back into form what he was doing before. Arguably, probably one of the top 2 receivers in the league at the time when he left. James Conner and McKissick, we'll just have to see how those play out, and Goddard and Renfro are pretty solid, and his defense is looking pretty good. He's got a decent team, and he's always got Carson Wentz there for trade bait or to pick up if one of these quarterbacks gets injured. So I think long-term, Jay is looking pretty solid. Now, coming in at the 8th spot, Jim, steal your face mask, invited to the league by our past commissioner. It comes in with a draft grade from Yahoo at B-. Projected record 8-6, so looking pretty solid, but the power rankings only have him in 8th, which is where Fantasy Pros kind of confuses me a lot. You'll see a lot of this. There's people with 7-7 that are projected higher than Jim's. It doesn't make any sense. Championship odds, though, coming in at 10%. Now, Cooper Kupp and Lamar Jackson, a great 1-2 to start his draft. I'm sure he was shocked to see Jackson fall all the way to him, and I'm positive he was shocked that Kupp fall all the way to him. Leonard Fournette, that's always an enigma. We'll see how he picks up in Tampa Bay. Derek Carr is going to be interesting. They got him his favorite receiver. Devontae Adams there, so no more excuses for Carr. Should put up some big numbers. J.K. Dobbins looking to come back from that ACL tear. Should be a solid running back for Baltimore, who loves to run the ball, and he's got Lamar Jackson there with him, so that's a great combo there. Jerry Jeudy, Allen Lazard, and Chris Olave. Now, Allen Lazard could be interesting. He is looking to be the number 1 receiver. Does he put up Devontae Adams numbers? We don't know, but again, Rodgers likes to throw the ball. He doesn't like to throw to rookies, so he's got to throw the ball. Solid rookie with Chris Olave coming out of Ohio State. Really good pickup there. I think he's going to complement Michael Thomas really well in the passing game down in New Orleans. Marcus Mariota could be an interesting choice for his second quarterback because it's, you've got Desmond Ridder down there looking to possibly dethrone him as Mariota's a bit of a veteran. But we'll see. Mariota trying to revitalize his career and be a franchise quarterback for someone, so it could be there. Melvin Gordon coming in at running back. Cole Kmet, solid tight end. Tolbert from Dallas. Irv Smith Jr., Jamal Williams, Nico Collins, and Denver defense. So Jim looking like a pretty good lineup there. Coming in here, he's got, again, the quarterbacks could be really solid. Kupp is obviously going to put up the numbers. And I really think it comes down to if Dobbins or Fournette, if one of those guys can really take off, and Lazard, Jim could be super dangerous as we move along this season. Now, moving on next, we've got Big Mike. Mike had an interesting start to his draft. He was in Dallas, got stuck here, all kinds of flight delays, was supposed to be at Mohegan Sun with the guys, but it did not work out that way. So he drafted his first 4 or 5 picks from the plane. At least he was able to log on, but an interesting go there for Mike. Of course, his Yahoo draft grade, you'll see here, coming in at an A-. It's a awesome grade for Mike. Projected record 7-7. His power ranking, of course, is 7th. His championship odds are at 7%. Started off solid with the 11th pick, going 11-14. He goes wide receiver. I don't know if anyone else in the league did that, but he's got Jamar Chase and Stephon Diggs. A lot of praise there for Jamar Chase. Some people are looking at him as the, within a top 5 pick in some drafts. Of course, Mike's able to grab him at 11th. We'll see what the Bengals do. They've got Boyd and Higgins, and they're trying to get Mixon in the fold. So I don't know if that's going to lose some balls to Chase, but they're talking about getting him more involved in the offense all around the field. So could be a big grab there for Mike. And Stephon Diggs is, of course, going to be solid with Josh Allen throwing him the ball. Ezekiel Elliott going in the 3rd round. Wow, have the mighty fallen. He was, a first-round pick for the last 3 years, and now he's gone in the 3rd round. And I'm not so sure anyone else was going to take him in the 3rd round if Mike doesn't grab him there. Matthew Stafford coming back at 38. Great first quarterback. Then he comes back with 2. A little bit of a head-scratcher for me there, but maybe Mike sees something that the rest of us don't. And then goes again with his 3rd quarterback and immediately snags Justin Fields. Now, we'll have to see if that plays out. Maybe he just wanted to make sure he got a solid backup. Not really sure what the thinking was there, getting Fields so early. 7th round pick, he's got Romeo Dubes. Josh Jacobs, Amari Cooper. Of course, Mike gets Josh Jacobs. He's got to have at least one Raider on the team. He's got Amari Cooper over there at Cleveland. James Cook trying to bounce back there in Buffalo. Zach Ertz, not a bad tight end over there in Arizona. Brandon Ayuk, he did, as far as Ertz go, he did have a solid end of the year last year, so I think Arizona's looking to utilize him a lot more. Brandon Ayuk is someone I could not have wanted to stay further away from, but I think getting him in the 12th round is not so bad. Zamir White, another Las Vegas running back. I guess he's covering his bases there with Josh Jacobs. Of course, he picks up Jarvis Landry, Kenny Galladay, and Mark Ingram. Again, some solid end of this draft there, and we'll have to take a look at his projected lineup. Now, he doesn't quite have a full team yet. He's got to go pick up a defense, of course, but he's going to look pretty solid. Stafford, Chase, and Diggs, and Zeke. I mean, that's a tough four that could put up big points any week, so going to be tough to play Mike this year. Moving right along to the 6th spot, our defending champion with the number 1 pick in the draft gets a rank of B. Yahoo draft grade of B, projected record 7-7, power ranking 6th of 12. And championship odds do jump up there at 9%. Now, he has a solid start with Josh Allen. Shocking that he goes to Hurts, but he loves Jalen Hurts, thinks he sees a lot of potential there. Coming back with Alvin Kamara. Again, just like Zeke, getting Alvin Kamara in the 3rd round, I think, is a big steal there. Allen Robinson, Kyle Pitts looking to take a huge leap. I mean, absolute leap forward if we're looking to see something from him this year. Drake London might be the best rookie out of this draft. I know a lot of people talking Breece Hall, but we see time and time again these running backs don't really take off where the wide receivers can really fill in there. So I think Drake London, obviously a big target out of USC, could be huge. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Damian Pierce, DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a big deal once he comes back. Rashad Penny, Isaiah Pacheco. I think Pacheco has a lot of potential, but they're not looking to put him on the field too much this year. Of course, Hilaire, he would have to basically fall completely off the wagon before Pacheco to get a real shot there. Now, Michael Pittman, some of you might be watching and say, wow, how did Michael Pittman go in the 12th round? Well, that's because that was the keeper for Jeff. Don't forget there, it was his keeper last year. This was the only time we'll be doing that, but he was able to get him in the 12th. Rashad White, Rondell Moore was our sleeper pick from our top 10 wide receiver video. Khalil Herbert and Jamison Williams could be a steal getting there at the end of the draft. We'll have to see when he's able to get back on the field. But solid wide receiver right there and a great rookie to complement having Drake London already. So Jeff's set for some really good trade bait as the season goes on. We can look at this projected lineup. Again, someone you're not going to want to play early with Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts looking to get out of the gate quick. Kamara could be really dangerous. He's got Pitts in London, and of course Pittman slides in there at his flex spot. But I don't see a lot of fear with people playing Jeff this year, where last year they were nervous. Of course, Jeff benefited last year by almost everybody that played him shit the bed and didn't put up any points. If that happens again this year with Jeff, he's going to be solid. He's going to put up the points, but hopefully people will have teams not fall asleep when they're playing him. Now, next we go with James, of course, my own team, coming in at rank 5. Yahoo draft grade A-, projected record 7-7, championship odds at 8%. Now, Austin Eckler falling all the way to 6, I was a little bit shocked. I know Nick's a big fan. I kind of thought Hunter would be pigeonholed to take him after Herbert was gone, but there he was. So I went ahead and grabbed him. I was coming back this round with Joe Burrow, like I said, but of course Jay snagged that from me, so I fell to Saquon Barkley. Feeling like I got stuck with him in the 2nd round is not the worst person to get stuck. Of course, my first quarterback, got a little nervous when quarterbacks started getting taken, so I went with Aaron Rodgers. I know he doesn't have a lot to throw to, but we'll see what happens. Mark Andrews, always reliable for me. Chris Kears can tell you all about him. The last couple of years, I've killed it with Andrews, and being able to get him in the 4th round, I think, was a steal. Mac Jones coming in at my 5th pick. Of course, the New England guys are never going to let me live this down, me taking Mac Jones. All I do is make fun of him, and I don't think he's going to be a great quarterback, but there he is on my team. Jalen Waddle, great receiver pickup, I think. Hopefully he has a 2nd year that's really strong. Of course, he could be losing touches to Tyreek Hill, who's moved over to the Dolphins as well. Christian Kirk, I can't believe I took Christian Kirk. I hate Christian Kirk, and his contract is ridiculous. But there you go. Jameis Winston, who will probably get negative points with our new rule that a pick 6 is -6. Garrett Wilson, I think, is a solid rookie for me. It was a good pick there. I came back with Kenneth Walker. When he gets back on the field, I think could be another good rookie, so I have somebody to trade with if I need to. Chase Claypool, Zach Wilson, Isaiah McKenzie, Mike Gesicki. I don't know. Panic pick. Cincinnati defense just because, and Sammy Watkins for whatever reason, he magically learns how to play football again, and Aaron Rodgers, again, has to have somebody to throw the ball to. So hopefully Watkins can take advantage there. The lineup, probably not someone right out of the gate you're afraid to play unless Winston and Rodgers really take off. I think my running backs are solid, Eckler and Barkley. It really comes down to my team, I believe, with Barkley being able to get to some potential that anyone ever thought he had. If he can stay healthy the whole season and really elevate his role, I think my team could be dangerous. Of course, Andrew's projected to be the number 1 tight end this year, so we'll see how that goes. Coming in at the 4 spot, we've got Nick Wiseman. Yahoo draft grade B-, projected record 7-7. Power ranking, of course, 4 in championship odds. First one jump up into the double digits, 10%. Big shocker, though, takes Christian McCaffrey with the number 3 pick. A lot of people did not see that coming. Slides by, lets Herbert go on. I think he had his heart set on taking Taylor, as Damian was alluding that he would let him pass by as well, but that didn't happen. Kyler Murray, I think, is a great pickup in the second round. Trey Lance, wow, that is... Nick has some cojones. Going with Trey Lance really early, we'll have to see. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what he's thinking. I don't think their offense is that great to begin with, except dumping the ball off to Samuel. And this sometimes really shows who watches college football, because Nick does not. And if Nick did, he would know more. That's all I'm going to say there. Keenan Allen, what a steal that was with Hunter taking Mike Williams, the pick before. That allowed Nick to laughably take Keenan Allen as far as he's concerned, but we'll see what happens between those two. Cam Akers is a good solid pickup there. Rashad Bateman, Marquise Brown, some people are shouting out a lot of things for him there. Chase Edmonds. Daniel Jones is not a bad pickup in the 9th round. We'll have to see how good he does. Treylon Burks, a solid rookie. Kadarius Toney. Tyler Algier, I don't know if this guy's ever getting on the field for a rookie, so I don't know if that was a good take. Pat Freiermuth, which is a solid tight end, and some people in this league think that he's an elite tight end. We'll hear more about that in our next video. Geno Smith, just because he was taking quarterbacks because Paul was drunk. LA Rams defense and Dearness Johnson to round it out. First look, playing against Nick's lineup here, I don't think anyone is scared at all unless Trey Lance does anything remotely close what these ridiculous projections have him doing. So we'll have to see there. Of course, Nick's lineup looks significantly different today, and you'll learn more about that. But this is what he looked like after the draft. Now, coming in at the 3 spot, this is dangerous, guys, because Brian has been the unluckiest person in our league. Every year, his top players get injured. So he's got Dalvin Cook, could get injured, but you'll notice later he did pick up Madison, which I think was a smart move. Brian's going to cover his bets there. But Najee Harris and Tom Brady, if you're a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Tampa Bay Bucks, you need to start praying today, because it is likely one of these top 3 will be injured for the year. We'll have to see how that plays out. Now, if it doesn't, Brian's going to look great. His draft grade was a B. Projected record 7-7. 3rd in the power rankings, 10% championship odds. Dalvin Cook, like I said to start. Najee Harris, a good 1-2 with the running backs. Tom Brady in the 3rd. Now, keep in mind, Tom Brady just coming off a year where he led all of fantasy football with the number 1 points scored. Kirk Cousins. He's got Cortland Sutton, which could have a resurgence with Russell Wilson going there. I think Brian could be a closet Denver fan, being a Seahawks fan, as he's a big Russell Wilson guy. Deontay Johnson, DK Metcalf, Jared Goff, Kareem Hunt, George Pickens is a solid pick in the 10th round. Devin Singletary, Albert, I'm not even going to begin to try to pronounce this guy's name, but again, another person that Russell Wilson could be throwing it to. And Alexander Madison is going to be a stash on the bench. Of course, what's great about Madison is that if Dalvin Cook is the one that gets hurt for Brian, he has zero worries. They're going to give the ball to Madison just like they give to Cook. Julio Jones, I think, could be the steal of the draft for Brian if Tom Brady gets back into form. And having that 1-2 combo could be really huge, especially if Jones takes over where Brown was starting to play until he decided to take off all his clothes and leave. excuse me. Tony Pollard is a good pickup, of course, in case Zeke gets hurt. And Tony Pollard was Brian's keeper from last year, so a good pick there. And picking up a defense in the 16th round. Now, seeing Brian's lineup, a team that at first glance might not be someone you're afraid of, but these guys all have the potential to put up huge points. I think it could be dangerous when you play Brian this year. Now we move on to our next team. Number 2, former commissioner, Mr. Chris Kears. Not sure how he was able to pull this off, but the Yahoo draft grade of B, projected record at 8-6, power rankings 2nd of 12, and championship odds jump all the way up to 14%. A solid start to the draft. We all know that Chris drafts really, really well. It's when he gets into a little bit of trouble, albeit bye weeks, injuries, whatever, he refuses to trade. He just can't do it. He doesn't know how to do it. I don't know if he's afraid or he just hates Damian, but he just won't trade. But getting Derrick Henry is a huge in the 10th pick. DeAndre Swift, a little bit question mark, but he is supposed to be good and put up some big points. Dak Prescott's a good quarterback for your first one. Mike Evans coming back onto the field. Could be solid there in Tampa. Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry. Here's what's crazy about that is he's usually a higher round pick, and for the first time he has a real quarterback, and he got picked later in the draft. Makes no sense to me, but here we are. Good pickup for Chris there. George Kittle's going to be a solid tight end, of course. His second quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, not really sold on that, but he did pick up Davis Mills a little bit later. Of course, he's got Dalton Schultz, and Sky Moore is a great rookie. Darrell Henderson Jr., that is Chris's bread and butter late in the drafts. He loves having Henderson. He does not believe in Cam Akers whatsoever. Brandon Cooks is a solid pickup. Of course, Brandon Cooks was his keeper, and that rounds up all the keepers that were done for this draft. Tyler Boyd in the 13th round is a good pickup. Kenneth Gainwell is solid for Philadelphia. Indianapolis defense and Jacoby Myers to round out his draft. Of course, his projected lineup, again, just kind of like some of the others, not scary at first glance, but if some of these players start to take off, especially someone like McLaurin, if he really thrives having Carson Wentz there, someone that can actually throw the ball, I think Chris could start to run away with the league for the first time in a long time. Now that leaves, last but not least, everyone's favorite person to hate. The biggest shit talker in the league that only has 4 jokes and just regurgitates them over and over and over. As you notice, Damien, I'm talking into the microphone. I hope that doesn't confuse you and make you too upset. Yahoo draft grade of B, projected record 8-6, coming in at first on the power rankings and championship odds at 14%. To the surprise of anyone with a brain, he went ahead and kept Jonathan Taylor with the number 2 pick. He kept trying to tell everyone he was going to take Herbert, but that obviously didn't happen. So he goes with Taylor, comes back with Nick Chubb. This guy hates Ohio, absolutely hates Ohio, and picked Nick Chubb from the defunct Browns as his number 2. So good for him, I guess. Russell Wilson, Breece Hall, good rookie. That was probably a little early, but is able to get T. Higgins in the 5th round, which could be solid. He might put up better numbers than Jamar Chase, and people think that's crazy, but I'm telling you, as a Bengals fan, T. Higgins is the go-to guy when they need yards. Chase relies on the big play, and it might be shut down from a lot of defenses this year, so we'll just have to see how that plays out as a Bengals fan. Juju Smith-Schuster could be a huge pickup in the 6th round. We'll have to see how Patrick Mahomes utilizes him. Matt Ryan is a solid pickup with Indiana for a quarterback for him. I think he could be huge. And then he's got TJ Hawkinson at tight end, Antonio Gibson, Washington. The running back situation in Washington just never seems to even out. So Damian taking a little bit of a gamble there. Devontae Smith could have a solid year, and Jalen Hurts is looking really to take off up there. So Devontae Smith going to be a big part of that offense. Cordarrelle Patterson is, the ever-changing, who knows what position he's going to play or what he's going to do, but he does put up a lot of points, so that's a solid get in the 11th round. Mitch Trubisky, it is his 3rd quarterback, but a lot of people, including myself, we just don't see Trubisky being the quarterback of the future there. Maybe by the 3rd or 4th week, I imagine Pickett's ready to take over. Robert Woods, a solid pick in the 13th round. Devontae Parker, San Francisco, and Tyquan Thornton. In Damien's eyes, Robert Woods is one of the best receivers on his team. So that's how he's going to try to trade him. That's what he's going to talk to you about trading. So everyone beware and good luck of that. But thanks, guys, for checking out as we climbed up through the rankings there. A little bit craziness as we went along. It's interesting to see where everybody is, and we're looking forward to the season. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this recap kind of really breaks down. The draft was a lot of fun. If you were able to watch with us live, you saw tons of shenanigans and a lot of yelling at Paul from Chris as everyone was drunk, and Chris just kept yelling, "Pick a quarterback," as loud as he could in a room. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Paul, with no current starting quarterbacks on his roster, but like I said, some trades have been in the works, so we'll see a little bit later today if anything comes to fruition. With that being said, thank you guys very much for checking out our video and seeing how this league unfolds, and we'll check with you guys a little bit later. Have a good rest of the day.